Hello, my name is Eric Atkins. Today I'm here to give you a better sense of why YouTube is a great form for enhancing education. In particular, I've got a real interest in showing how these how-to videos that keep popping up are making learning new things much easier. To give you an example that could include things like oil changes or repairing parts on your computer, it seems like there's just new videos popping up every second. So today I'd like to focus a little bit more on a particular design, which is a home media server. It seems, somewhat relevant for this course and a great way to really illustrate my point about how these how-to videos that are popping up on YouTube make a new way for education, a new means to education, enhancing it. To give you a little bit more options for background, there should be a link for the motivation. It's a great little couple-minute video if you want to check it out. Otherwise, let's move on. Okay, so again, the presentation I have constructed is a how-to video that is going to demonstrate the significance of using technology to aid instruction and education. While these techniques could be used for formal education, I have chosen to restrict it to the more how-to, particularly the home media server. As opposed to something we handle often, such as formal education, I thought this was a bit more relevant for the kind of personal life. The utility of having a home media server is twofold. First, the convenience of having all your media on your own, effectively a cloud, is perhaps unmeasurable. Second, the server can act as a source of backup for your computer. I'll begin to address the basics of how to make the home media server, but first I'd like to point out that I'm using the Screencast-O-Matic in order to demonstrate the power of the how-to. This is going to record everything you see on my screen, including the mouse that's moving around. It's very easy to just kind of say, hey, go over here, click this guy, go over there, click this guy. So it's kind of a preferred one. And it's free for the first 15 minutes. You can purchase for unlimited value. You can go pro, and that's got all sorts of benefits, but you can look into that on your own. Okay, so the main site we're going to use is the Life Hacker. In particular, it's a article titled Turn an Old Computer into a Network Backed Up Streaming or Torrenting Machine with Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a Linux-based operating system. It's completely free. There are a ton of versions you can download. I would recommend the one that doesn't require you to delete your Windows interface. It works in conjunction with. So it's not like a 100% commitment. It allows you to kind of try it out, and it is going to be essential to operating the server element of your machine. Alright, so let's move on now to a little bit more about what you're going to need. Obviously this article, very important. You can't get to it, just a simple Google it. Alright, so this gives you a little background about why I want to give you some more now about what you'll need now. So take special note that there are minimum system configurations. Okay, they recommend the 512 megabytes of RAM and a 700 megahertz processor, or the 1.6 gigahertz. Very important, 1.6 gigahertz if you want to stream videos. They're not kidding around. That kind of is a very intense process that requires a pretty modern processor. I recommend at least the Intel Pentium, but the Intel Core 2 Duo would be best because it begins to have more graphics capabilities. I am going to give the video regarding to a DC5700 HP. This is kind of my choice because it was cheap, it's easy to find, they're in businesses all over. Campus has a ton of them lying around, and I think it's relevant enough that it'll be helpful. And in general, a PC they're all kind of laid out the same, so the visual aid I think will help whatever the particulars are. You can look into more detail, perhaps even another YouTube video on it. Okay, so the idea is really simple, but some important points are that when you make the decision, be aware there exist many options to accommodate your server hardware. You can get really cheap and maybe upgrade some parts, such as I did. I upgraded the RAM and the PCU, or the central processing unit. But You might find you've got something laying around with the Intel Core 2 Duo already in it, and you don't need an upgrade for the processor, or more modern with the i7s, and you could do streaming of high definition. So just kind of keep in mind about what you're trying to accomplish. Most DVDs are at the 480p level. If you have high definition or Blu-ray, that's going to be 1080p. For the 480p, the Intel Core 2 Duo will be fine, but for more processing power, maybe consider the i7 and stuff. The other thing, I'm kind of assuming you have a digital library. If you don't, go ahead and realize that you're going to need to somehow take your DVDs and what's called rip them into digital format to store them onto the server. And there's a ton of links and videos for that to help you make a digital library. Okay, so the other thing now, we've talked about kind of the processor and the RAM, the minimum RAM configurations. We next have the hard drive that we're storing it on. You can store it in what's called a RAID configuration, which effectively makes it kind of a redundancy. So if one hard drive fails, you can back it up from the other hard drive. I recommend doing this eventually, but for most hard drives, they're good for about 1 million read writes and should not fail. They've gotten pretty good at not failing and repairing themselves. So if you go buy a modern hard drive of about 2 terabytes, that should get you started on this project, and then you can kind of play around with upgrades from there. He will recommend having some more of a RAID configuration on the article. It's totally up to you, just kind of how much you're willing to put up capital-wise up front. Okay, so let's recap. Choose an old computer and decide what you need to do the upgrade and the machine which will match your demand for Blu-ray versus DVD quality payment. And then, of course, music, etc. You can pretty much anything you want that's digital media. Okay, so I would like now to move on to provide more visual aid to gain some basic understanding of what this hardware is going to look like. Again, it varies by computer, but for the most part, you're going to be looking at the same stuff. Maybe just, this piece is to the right instead of to the left in my machine. So I assure you upgrades are well within your means of capability. You can follow directions and watch tons of YouTube videos. Everybody has replaced every computer part there is in there, and I'm certain you can find out how to do yours. Now, I can't predict all your problems you're going to encounter, but that's the beauty of Google. There are a large part of my argument as to why YouTube is a solution to our educational needs. If you can't find something in your particular video, you can go find something else, an article or a forum, something that helps guide you in research and then narrows down what the exact question is, and then eventually gives you a solution or an ability to deduce your own solution from what you've learned. So recall I'm demonstrating this build of a home media server to illustrate my point. If you can learn even a small amount of new information that aids you in your educational pursuits, I would call that a success, since really it's free. I mean, I don't know that there's a better source of education, as long as I guess you have to pay the cost of a computer and internet access. But even the public libraries have internet-capable computers now, so if you can watch these things, there is tons of free opportunities to learn. Alright, so I'm going to move on. You'll now, instead of this screen that you're seeing here, again, you're going to want to kind of follow this pretty thoroughly. I'm not going to walk you through it all because we're trying to keep the video somewhat short. Follow this thoroughly to build the system, and I'm going to make another video to kind of give you an idea of the hardware that you're going to come into counter with and might need to upgrade. And then get back to summarizing. Thanks so much.